Hey yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're getting our final review of Shadow Work from Despised Icon. So here we are after a week of listening to this album as much as we possibly can, and I gotta say, I listened to this album a lot. I feel like it played more than a lot of albums I've listened to. Maybe it's the runtime, 36 minutes, which is kind of average-ish, maybe on the little bit of the shorter side.
I'd say slightly shorter average. I'd say these days albums average like 40 to 45 minutes.
That's true, exactly. But I feel like I just, for some reason, had more opportunity to listen to music this week, so I felt like I played it a lot. And, you know, that's kind of tough for an album sometimes. You're really running it through the ringer when you do that. And, you know, this is Despised Icon. I like this band. I've liked them forever. And I feel like this album holds up for the week. I didn't get bored of it, but it had some issues. So I guess I'll talk about the issues first. And it's just, this is one of those things where just, you try to focus on songs and you really try to like hammer down like, what is it about this song that makes it special? What is it about it that makes it stand out on the album in some way? And I got Death of an Artist, In Memoriam, Omen of Misfortune, and Fallen Ones. 4 tracks out of 11 that are good tracks. There's nothing wrong with these tracks. I didn't hate them. They weren't, not like you skipped them or anything like that, but I just got nothing really out of them. They didn't offer me anything. I didn't hear anything in there that made me interested in them. And out of all the times I listened to the album, I really tried giving these specific songs a chance and they just didn't click with me. Aside from that, the rest of the album I thought was stellar, but there are some standout tracks. I'll talk about those. My favorite track on the album, might surprise some people, Corpse Pose. I only say that might surprise people because I feel like the singles are highlights and I feel like a lot of people will gravitate towards those. I just think so. Corpse Pose, I mentioned this in the first impression, it has this downward spiraling type of guitar, like trill things that they're doing, and it's just executed so well. It really gives me a sense of like descent into madness kind of thing. And I really love when a song can make me think about something like that or feel a certain way like that. I think it's just doing its job properly in that sense. And this song just does that for me. But the main takeaway from this song for me is the screaming at the end. Oh, Steve's like the blood curdling screams, just absolutely just nasty screams. And
this
I'm like,
he's dying.
He's dying. Like, and it's so cool sounding, and it's a highlight of the song for me. Then right after that, you have The Apparition. This song we reacted to. Super standout track. We love the reaction. I think this is a track that a lot of people are going to gravitate towards, and for good reason, because this is a really cool song. I love the grooves it has. I love that they do the gang vocals before the breakdown.
Yeah.
The breakdown itself is nasty. And then he's doing those same blood-curdling screams like throughout the choruses and stuff. And it just sounds so fucking good. I don't know how he can do that without ripping his vocal cords apart, but it was giving me like, might be an unfair comparison because of the time that these bands emerged, but Mitch Lucker, Highs, just the way he did such violent sounding highs.
Yeah.
This is kind of like that.
It's funny how you were, in my head, I was thinking he's gonna probably say Mitch Lucker because I'm getting the same vibe.
Yeah, there you go. But, you know, in this song, like the blast beats are so tight, like, you know, it just really hits the mark in almost every aspect. The Apparition is a great song. The other song, which maybe comes as a surprise to some people that I thought was a super highlight on this album, was track number 10, Contre Corps.
Yeah.
That song, super fun song. It's a lot more heavy on the hardcore punk side of the genre, and it just, the energy on it is so infectious. I found it just had a really punchiness to it. It had, you know, a lot of the gang vocals there, which this band, they do very well. And, you know, it just had this infectious energy. I feel like it would be great at a concert, just super fun. And it just was a highlight for me towards the end of the album. And I thought it was great. The rest of the songs, Shadow Work, Over My Dead Body, Reaper, Obsessive Compulsive Disaster, which is also good. These songs are all great songs, but I struggle to really like love them, you know? And I say this kind of thing a lot in my reviews, but it's hard to find things to say. But you got songs like Shadow Work, which I think is a great opener. It's like one of these songs that's, it kind of feels like the full package, but there's no parts that are really awesome. And, there's a few things. Like, I got a note here that, right before the solo, there was some guitar tones that reminded me of some early Death Clock, which I thought was an interesting comparison. Because Death Clock guitaring is kind of pulled from Swedish melodic death metal, that kind of sound. So I found it weird that I kind of made that connection. And it's just one little part, and it's like basically a few notes leading into the solo.
Yeah.
And I kind of made that connection. Didn't really care too much for Reaper. I thought it's better than the low end songs, but the features with Tom Barber and Scotty and Lewis, I felt like, even the feature with Matt Honeycutt, I feel like these features aren't unique enough to kind of warrant them being there. They kind of blend in too much. It's hard to really point them out and pick them out. You can tell where they are. You could tell, that it's different than Alex and Steve. But to me, the distinction's not big enough. And I feel like it's almost pointless having a feature. And this is a problem that I actually have with deathcore in general, with features in deathcore, because a lot of these singers do sound very much alike. And you have to almost be a vocal connoisseur in order to really pinpoint the differences. That's just my opinion. Unless if you had a guy like Matt Honeycutt on, let's say Despised Icon didn't have Alex as a singer, then you'd only have that one hardcore singer. But since they both kind of do the same hardcore kind of voice, it kind of they almost eliminate each other. They almost cancel each other out. And it almost seems pointless to have them there. So I was a little disappointed in the features, I would say. I like all those vocalists. I think they're all great. But having them all together kind of combined in a song and multiple songs, it's an issue I've had with deathcore for a long time, these types of features.
Well, I would be inclined to agree on Reaper. I can't even tell where they are at all. After a whole week of listening, I have no idea where those features are.
I definitely know where Scott Ian's is, but Tom Barber's I have a little bit harder time identifying his.
The main takeaway I have from that song is that the pig squeals sound a little goofy. And I still feel that way. I kind of laugh at it, but it's not like it's a terrible song because of that. It's just that's the main, I think of that song and I'm like, oh yeah, this is the one with the pig squeals that sound a little goofy to me. But regarding Over My Dead Body, I think Matt Honeycutt definitely stands out. I basically just completely disagree with that sentiment for that song. Maybe it's because I've listened to Kublai Khan TX enough to be able to pick out his voice a little bit better. I don't know.
Yeah, but you've listened to a lot of Carnifex too.
True, but I haven't listened to Carnifex as recently as I've been listening to Kublai Khan.
True. It's been a while since we listened to Carnifex.
So, and I love, honestly, the biggest part of that track actually is Matt Honeycutt's feature. I love his voice a lot. I love the roar in it, almost.
Just picture it like this. Imagine if he wasn't there and Alex did that part, would the song change too much?
Kind of. And I say kind of
I don't think it would. That's my issue.
I don't know. I mean, I love how he sounds. I think, for me, easy to point out compared to the other two singers. But, and it's not just that makes me enjoy that track. It's got sick grooves. I think it's a good example of the depth that this band has. They're not a wall of sound deathcore band. They have that and more.
Yeah.
That's a good example of it. But yeah, no, it's, the note I made about that song is that it's such a wall breaker of a song.
A wall breaker, yeah.
Which I think they actually did do that in the music video too.
I feel like it has an extra layer of attitude.
Yeah.
There's just a little bit more of attitude in that song.
Which, in my opinion, the feature helps.
Yeah.
With that. And just, I love his voice. He's one of my favorites in the game right now. So, Death of an Artist, I was kind of surprised to see that you weren't really happening with that song, considering that was one of the singles. And that one has, is one of the standout tracks for that death scream or blood-curdling scream. I think that's a good example. If you want to know, what are you talking about with these screams? I think that's a good example of a song to check out to see what we're talking about with that.
Yeah.
And I love it. Every time this song comes on and I hear those screams, I'm like, I cannot get enough of this. This is incredible. I really like how evil the guitar riff that keeps coming back sounds, and it's cool that they do a quiet version of it leading into the section right before the solo, and then they end the song like that as well.
Bands do stuff like that.
Really, really cool.
Yeah.
Corpse Pose I also like, and that's another one with those high screams. I think those two songs in particular are the sweet spot for it. That snare kick roll thing that I mentioned last week, I still like and think is pretty cool. The breakdown is juicy, and that one's good. The Apparition, I love that it fades in. You don't see that often. So I do still think that's pretty cool. A little bit of focus on the bass melodically, which I think is also really, really cool.
Yep.
So, that song sets itself out from others, and I also love the gang vocals in it as well, and the breakdown's cool on top of that. So, I really like that. Contre Corps, Really, really nice. It's like, you've kind of basically explained it already, like this kind of short, explosive, almost punk style song.
Yep.
As a weird comparison, it kind of reminds me to the bonus plan from War Party by Guar, as just this kind of short, explosive thing. It, coincidentally enough, also sung in French. They're both sung in French.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I think Fallen Ones is a good Fallen Ones and the title track are good examples of my problem with this album.
Intro and outro tracks.
Yeah, as weird as that sounds. I guess more so the title track is more relevant to the issue, but the issue is that there are songs on this album that are just good. That's it. Because there are songs in here that I'm like, holy shit, this is awesome, this is killer. The stretch from Death of an Artist through The Apparition is like the huge sweet spot for me of like banger after banger. But a song like the title track, for example, it's good, it has good stuff, but I feel like they do stuff in that song better on other tracks than that song does. So I think it's a good song to kind of warm you up to like, this is what you're getting into.
Well, that's what I said, it's like the full package, but there's nothing like really awesome about it.
Yeah, I would say I like Fallen Ones a little more because it does do some more stuff like acoustic guitar stuff, and I think that is pretty cool on the way it ends. But it's still like, it's a song that's good, but like not exceptional. And that was kind of the issue, is that there were some songs that were like, yeah, this is good, but not like mind-blowing. And then there was a few songs here and there where I'm just kind of like...
When you say acoustic guitar, you're talking about that little like flamenco thing they do at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I thought that was interesting too. That was kind of a cool little thing to throw in there.
So like, for overarching stuff with the album, I really like how much vocal diversity there is in this band.
Yeah, it's been like that forever. But
it's just a testament, like, they never let up with that. Even on today's records from Despised Icon, they still show so much awesome vocal diversity, and I love that.
Yeah, and another cool thing about that is it almost feels like you're getting three vocalists, because a lot of times, even when you have dual vocalists, you got a guy that's doing low growls and a guy that's doing high screams. Well, Steve's doing both of those, and Alex is doing hardcore vocals. So you're kind of getting three vocal styles, which just completely adds the vocal range and vocal diversity of the band. And I think that's one of the reasons why they're such highly regarded in the game.
For sure.
That's just one of the reasons.
So even though I kind of mentioned there are some songs that are like good or kind of like fine or whatever, but there is pretty cool depth on this album regardless. And I think it's a good example and testament to that this band likes to take their time to cook. And I really like that, and I appreciate that. Yeah. I think this album is a good example of, look what happens when you really take time to craft these songs. You have a lot of cool things in there, a lot of depth to explore, even when the genre kind of lends itself to like being as straightforward as it is. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
But not counting that 4-song stretch that I mentioned, the rest of the album is like, yeah, it's good, but doesn't really reach the same level that stretch did for me. So, but I also think pacing-wise, pretty good.
Yeah.
It doesn't just kind of blast you with one exact thing over and over. It kind of goes back and forth between, pacing of the songs to make, more similar ones feel better in the moment.
Yeah, it's got a good structure to it overall.
Exactly, yes.
All right, so I'm ready to rate the album.
Yeah.
So just for, I guess, when I'm listening to albums and I'm trying to rate albums throughout the week, sometimes it's difficult because I really want to like an album. Sometimes maybe I'm not feeling it as much. Maybe I'm, there's a lot of different factors that I got to weigh in on when I'm trying to, fix my score. I went back and listened to The Ills of Modern Man and Day of Mourning just because those are the albums that I think most people would agree are their, like, bread and butter of this band, the best albums that they have.
Did you listen to Purgatory?
I didn't go back and listen to Purgatory, no. But still, a good album. But anyways, those other two albums, they slay. They hold up, they're amazing. It brought me back, like, memories of listening to them. I was like, oh man, I couldn't remember, I forgot how good they were. And then I put this back on again. I'm like, you know what? This band's so consistent. Like, they're still writing the same kind of stuff. I think I have changed. I can love albums that I've loved before, but even if those bands make very similar albums today, they might not always hit the mark with me. And that's why there's a chunk of this album that just didn't hit the mark with me. I love a lot of it. I think it's a super solid outing by Despised Icon. But unfortunately for me, the 4 tracks that I mentioned at the beginning of the video that kind of just went nowhere, even though I gave them a lot of chances, they really ended up hurting the score for me. So my final score for this album ended up landing at a 6.5.
Still a pretty good score though.
it is a pretty good score. And I mean, like I said, it's not like those songs are bad songs. It's just that when it comes to my scoring method, the songs have to have certain memorable aspects or certain things that make me want to go back to them to get higher scores for those songs.
Of course.
But it doesn't mean they're a bad song. So it's it's a tough rating. This is one of those situations where it's a really tough rating, but that's how it is. It's a 6.5.
Yeah. This band is awesome. I will say that. Like, these guys, they're consistent. They make great stuff. They take their time to make great stuff.
Yeah.
And so much of their material is a lot. It's such a step up from so much stuff that is like constantly coming out today. Mm-hmm. And I think this album is no exception. I think it's got really cool and interesting stuff, standout moments. But with that being said, it's not as consistently great to get a toe tag from myself, but I still think it's a strong record. Definitely a notable one from this year. It's gonna land at a 7.
Fair enough. So that's a 7 from TV Fish and a 6.5 from me. But as usual, we want to know what you guys think of this album and what you would rate it out of 10 if you had the chance. Let us know in the comments below. Let us know your favorite tracks and all that fun stuff. Maybe let us know your favorite Despised Icons albums in general. And let us know down below. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. I'm Vile Self.
I'm TV Fish.
We'll see you guys in the next one.